All right, good afternoon. I hope everybody had lunch. Everybody's here for the great air conditioning that we offer. I have an interesting panel. The title was originally The Maker Movement, but we decided that because we have such a talented and eclectic group of people, we will broaden it and talk a little bit about innovation and creativity. So I'd like to invite to the stage Catarina Amon. Come on over. Catarina was born in Portugal, but is now in Switzerland. And Catarina graduated at HEC Lausanne and the famed programmer for professionals at UNIL. She did some stints at banking until 2005. And then because she's passionate about music, she's the founder of Classique, a startup which connects musicians to great opportunities. Next, I'd like to invite Eyal Gever. You're coming up. Eyal is a cutting-edge contemporary artist whose work sits at the fusion of art and technology. Using just a palette of code, he develops lifelike digital simulations of moments in time, often very dramatic or catastrophic in nature, from which he fabricates 3D printed sculptures and installations. He's an amazing artist and a personal friend, and I'd like to invite Eyal to the stage. Come on over. And we have Tim Hatch. Tim from, wow. Tim brought his own cheering section. Very good. Tim is a VP of Innovation at Stanley Black & Decker. Tim is responsible for breakthrough innovation within the Global Tools and Storage Division, focused on finding and implementing new technologies in new markets. He also leads the Technology Council across the corporation with the aim of fostering innovation throughout Stanley Black & Decker. Prior to this, he was Vice President of Design to Value and Complexity Management, driving significant cross-business initiative at Stanley Black & Decker. All right, thank you very much. The way we're going to do this afternoon is each of our panelists is going to give a short presentation, and hopefully we'll have some time at the end for some Q&A. I would like to ask Tim to start us off.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Can you hear me okay? Great. As Amit just said, my name's Tim Hatch. I'm the Vice President of Innovation and Technology at Stanley Black & Decker. And hopefully most of you have heard of Stanley Black & Decker, but we're the largest tool manufacturer in the world. We're also the second largest commercial security company. We have interests in oil and gas infrastructure, and we have a large commercial fastening business. You can see a number of our brands are shown on the screen, which you'll see some products around here today. We're a very innovative company. We've been driving a significant number of patents and new product development for many years. We're a 175-year-old company, almost. But we're accelerating the amount of work that we're doing on the innovation side. We put in place a Stanley Ventures group about 18 months ago that is investing in startup companies. We've currently got 10 investments across startups in the US, and we're expanding outside of the US in the coming months and years. We've recently put in place a makerspace, so we're here to talk a little about makerspace, and I want to start here. But we opened our first makerspace in Baltimore, Maryland, about 2 weeks ago. And the aim of this center is to give initially our employees in the Baltimore, Maryland area, which is where our global tools and storage business is headquarters, but it gives every one of those employees the opportunity to go to a space and to make products. Initially, we're teaching them how to use tools and techniques to make pretty much anything they want to. But we're going to continue to encourage them to start making products that potentially could be an innovative technology for us in the future. We have the capability inside this shop to do metalworking, woodworking. We have a small electronics lab. We have 3D printing capability. We have augmented reality, virtual reality station, and we're going to add technology and capability to this to allow our employees to start using this makerspace environment. We've partnered with other makerspace environments in the Baltimore location, and we're talking to other makerspaces throughout the world. The advantage of the makerspace is it gives people the ability to get and use a piece of equipment or a tooling that otherwise they probably wouldn't have access to. We think a makerspace is something more than just giving people that ability, but hackerspaces have typically been on the electronics side or the software side. The makerspace gets more into a physical area where people have the ability to use tools they wouldn't get elsewhere and be able to make things. Within our makerspace, we've got a number of classes set up, so people can come in, they can use the tools. We're starting with woodworking. We're showing people how to weld, how to run a laser cutter on metal. We can etch shapes, and it just gives people that ability to understand tools, techniques, and how to use them, and what they can take from there and move forward into something else. So that's really what we're doing on the maker side. But a lot of what we're doing on the innovation side is generating new products, new techniques that we can take out to the market. And one of the ones I want to talk about briefly is a product that we've just launched out of our breakthrough innovation teams. So we set up the breakthrough innovation teams about 2.5 years ago. They're focused on taking new technology in new areas and developing new markets. So it's not developing the next product inside a sequence, it's developing new products in different markets. And the first one we're taking to market is really looking at data. And it's looking at how we get that data on a construction site. And this was a slide that I first saw at a conference in California about 6 weeks ago. But it talks about how data can lead to indecision. You have a lot of data. The more we connect products, the more we connect services, you have a significant amount of data, but it doesn't necessarily give you information. So you organize it to get you into information, which gives you the chance to deliberate upon it. You can then filter that down to knowledge. The ultimate thing is to get to the one piece of wisdom that you can act upon. Our customers are not interested in data. They're interested in the wisdom that they can act upon. And what we're trying to do on the job site is to take that and give people that information that they can then turn into the wisdom to be acted upon. As we connect tools and technologies across the job site, we found that the challenge was getting the data off of the job site. So the first product we wanted to get to market was Wi-Fi. And we're introducing this Wi-Fi access hub, which is the first in its place in a construction site. We all know Wi-Fi in a built environment, but it's typically wired. You need power and you need an Ethernet connection. The advantage of this is we connect one to an Ethernet connection in the trailer, and then we can mesh an entire construction job site. So we build this mesh of Wi-Fi throughout the building. It allows the construction workers to connect their iPads, to look at the building information model, to understand what things are going on and put change orders in place. But it's that connectivity back to the internet that's key to them. You can connect them in hotspots to get sort of 10 across a building, or for a large building, 400,000 square feet, that would take maybe a couple of years to build, put 50 of these hubs in there and get complete connectivity across every floor within the job site. The only thing it needs is power, and you can move them around as the construction site changes, which it does pretty much every day. We identified that doing this can save 10 minutes per person per construction site, which adds up to almost a 2% improvement on the return on investment for a construction project, which is huge. Typically, their return on investment for a construction project is low single digits. They can get 2% improvement, significant improvement in what they're doing. So that's it. Very quick introduction to what we're doing on the makerspace, and a quick introduction to one of the innovative technologies that we've developed out of our breakthrough innovation team, and we're taking to market. It'll be available in North America towards the end of this year, and we'll be expanding going into next year. So thank you very much for your time.
Which one? Can you get one of the mics to work? Thank you. All right. Are they? Yes, thank you. So next we'd like to invite Katarina to say a few words about Classique, maybe?
Welcome everybody, my name is Katarina Amon. I'm very happy to be here with you today to talk about Classique. I'm the founder and CEO of Classique, which is a platform for classical music community. and I will still make a parallel with creativity and the makers movement, even though the name of the panel has changed. So what do we want to do with Classique? We actually want to bring the maker movement to a crowd that has been left out, the classical music community. Actually, if you analyze, musical changes anticipate changes in society as a whole and can be prophetic. Music is at the essence of the makers movement, but distribution of live classical music failed as of now to embrace it fully. If you analyze a little bit, before the weakening of the power of the churches, non-religious concerts started to appear in the 15th century. Also, tickets and concert halls are in the middle of the 17th century, the pioneer of the market economy. There are many examples like that. Actually, music was the first product to be delivered peer-to-peer in advance of many other collaborative economy, and also consumed without the physical object. So we went from buying the physical object to sharing music and now to streaming. Actually, classical music is a very hard industry to be in for a musician. You should know the following. It's patriarchal and pyramid-like closed network, and it's locked to talent penetration. It's an oligopoly dominated by few large firms. It's opaque and inefficient market. Ticket prices are still a barrier. People cannot afford it. And culture budgets are the first to be cut. And of course, less goes into music education, despite the benefits of learning music. So, as a consequence of this, audiences and listenerships are declining. Audiences are aging. Less people are making music. And classical music is totally left out from the evolution of the media. Only 3% of streaming is classical only. So isn't this a huge cultural loss and value loss? First, imagine a Russian pianist, a woman. This is the most competitive market. Amazing, talented artist, practicing 8 hours a day, independent with no manager, teaching while traveling to play concerts, and this is without saying no time for private life. How can she become visible to the world? What are we doing to support her? So, I'm going to tell you how we're changing the game. So we want to give transparency to this market, creating complete professional profiles for the musicians that we curate with a transparent qualification metrics, like a LinkedIn for classical music. So these profiles are designed for trust and to be easily analyzed and compared by artistic directors. We want to empower musicians. Sorry. Digital, okay, this is it. We want to empower musicians, giving direct access to search and book musicians online. We want to support and protect them by giving more opportunities. So we tell them that we give you the tools to be at the right place at the right time, to be independent and to be their own managers, not having to rely on an agent or personal connections. So you can be the actors and decision makers of your future. To be creative and dare being innovative in an even larger and visible community. To be connected regardless of their geography or their financial condition. You can now reach new and wider audiences. And we also give the possibility to discover new talents to artistic directors, to sponsors, and to the audiences. We give direct access and visibility to sponsors also. We channel and attract funds to classical music events and education, by presenting sponsor opportunities without borders. We want to rejuvenate and spread the image of classical music, and giving universal access by giving more people a fair chance will contribute to the sustainability by enhancing its exposure and therefore multiplying the audiences. This is how we want to help the music community.
Thank you. Thank you, Katarina. And I'm going to ask Eyal to show us a little bit of the stuff that he's done. While I think you need to do some connection there, maybe you can multitask and ask me the question, answer the question, Eyal, of are you using technology to create art, or are you enhancing art by using technology?
You know, men can only do one thing in parallel, but I will answer. So my art, the way I do art is kind of different. Even though I studied art for a long time, my background is actually software development. And I deliberately decided a few years ago to build a palette which is totally code, totally software. And by that, trying to actually invite the audience, the viewer, to experience emotions, you know, through code. So what I'd like to show is actually two projects that I literally finished this year. Each one took, one took 3 years, and one took 2 years. So actually, this one I want us to wait for Steffi, I promised her. So I will start with the biggest one. So some of you heard, because the first time I actually introduced the project was actually at DLD Munich 2 years ago. A few years ago, 3 years ago, one day I got a phone call from NASA. And the guy on the other line said, "Hi, my name is Andrew. I'm heading a project in NASA. It's a long-term project. It's going to take 15 years, which eventually we want to get to a point where our people up there are totally self-sufficient. They're not relying on Earth. First thing we're doing, we're building a zero-gravity 3D printer. We've been following your art and would like to offer you to be the first artist to do the first piece of art in space." I said, "Really?" Anyway, so 3 years passed by, and I'll show you a short intro, a 1-minute intro that Vice documented the video, and then I'll show you what happened, okay? So this is the short video. Sorry, audio, I need audio. Let's see, USB audio. All right. No. I need like, do you have it? USB audio? Sorry, people. Like in the audio setup? Like USB. Approached by NASA, and they invited me to do the first piece of art in space. And the reason was they created a new kind of a printer, a 3D printer that can print in zero gravity. And I came up with the idea, how about making a shout out to space using sound sculpture? And then a friend of mine said, "Why won't you do a human laughter?" And I said, "Wow, you're so right. We all laugh." We invite people to go online and they can record their laughter. And then actually the wisdom of the crowd will actually choose which of the laughter they want to send to space to represent humanity. It was very intellectually challenging to try to forget about fundamental issues we have as humans and how we fuck up the world, and elevate to that we're amazing creatures and we're doing amazing things, and look where we got. Okay, so that was before. December 1st, a few months ago, I introduced an app for 30 days. And in 30 days, I invited the world to laugh. Only humans laugh with all the emotional layers. And what the app invited you is literally when you laugh, your voice paints in real time a three-dimensional, what I call laugh star. It's a totally individual laugh star. Every laugh is totally different. And in 30 days, over 100,000 people submitted over 100,000 laugh stars. And it was spread over 150 cities. And I asked the audience the users to literally vote which is the laugh they think should represent, which is the laugh that should represent humanity in space. And it was mid-January that I already knew who is the winner. And here is the moment. Oh yeah, from the app you could actually print your own sculpture, laughter in bronze, with different materials. And this is 15 hours before we print in space. My team contacted the winner because there's a documentary happening, and this is the moment I tell her
Quite
she
some
won.
time doing a documentary. I'm Eyal. And this is really, really a special and exciting moment for us because it's been a long journey to get to this point. And out of over 100,000 submissions of laughs in the last 30 days, guess what? Who won? And this is really, really very special to us, especially to me. For 30 days, we were running the application. It took my team, the engineers, to kind of dive into the database, learn the statistics, the numbers. Let's say by around mid-January, I already knew who is the winner. I received the information that is you, and was very surprised from the sound.
Anyway, I'm very surprised, and I'm telling
But I'll
her
get-
there's a lot to see, and she was very happy. Unfortunately, you won't see the whole video. Her laughter was actually the worst I've ever heard. It was not what I expected. And I thought a lot, why this laughter? Because there were baby laughters, there's so many laughters. Because there is, in 8 seconds, there's a narrative that I guess anybody understands. I mean, it's a girl laughing because she's gurgling with water and something makes her laugh. It's like almost like this 8-second snapshot where a lot of the other laughters were like, posing, and trying the app. And this is the sculpture printed on Earth and with colors. And this is the moment. This is a legendary astronaut, by the way. She just arrived yesterday on Earth. This is the moment she actually takes the star, the laugh star, from the zero gravity 3D printer and just tightening it up and she is sort of letting it float. Next week, I'm going to introduce with NASA in London a video that the astronauts have done. This is sort of a special final moment that we are going to introduce the final piece in space, and it's going to be very cool. I'll post about it. A few more things, and then I move to the presentation. I was waiting for Steffi. This is the picture I really like the most. So this is the burst of a laugh star, and it's just floating in space. And what I'm saying is that I'm so proud to be alive in a moment, which I hope will stay, where humanity literally had their priorities right to enable an artist to utilize the most advanced, expensive, cutting-edge technologies with the most talented people in the world to do something that doesn't have any return on investment, but really just show the world that we're humans and we're beautiful and we're fragile and we won't let people fuck it up for us, okay? So the next step, the presentation, the next one I want to show is It's still running live, and it's running in Germany, in Karlsruhe. Okay, I've done a lot of things in my career in Germany, but it's the first time that I'm asked to do a site-specific art piece. I have an open book with the history of the German people, as you know. We all do, but life is much bigger than all of us, and today German represents sort of the freedom of actually the free world. But from this place, I decided to make a very sort of intense piece of art. It's a moment where I feel, you know, in the Jewish culture, we go to what we call the mikveh. It's sort of a place where you purify yourself. And this work I call cleansing, as if sometimes people feel they need to go in through an internal cleansing process because shit hits the fan, or Mother Earth is going to show us that she can do cleansing on us fairly soon because we are literally ruining Earth. So you can translate this work as an internal cleansing process or sort of a global cleansing process. So I'm using the castle as a metaphor, and this is the work. Over 1 million people are coming in these 2 months to watch it. So here it is for you, a clip. Can you put it louder, the audio? Thanks. Thank you. It's very hard to take a video of almost like a 400-meter castle, and it's a 10 minutes immersive experience. A little bit on the process and the technical side. Every project I push myself to another limit. I don't know why I do it. It's a curse and it's a blessing. Here I literally push a technological record, in my book at least, where I was calculating 500 million particles in parallel, which means a big number. It means a lot of processing. And I only had 8 weeks to work on it due to technical problems. So if I look really slim and sexy today, it's because I lost 10 kilos on this project. No, 8 kilos on this project. But here are different simulations. It's a very ambitious project to run in 10 minutes, a fluid that doesn't stop. There is no camera movements, no cuts, no nothing. It just builds up and builds up and builds up as if you cannot take it anymore. And then there is this kind of, becomes a Niagara Falls and crashes the weight crashes the castle. And then it's kind of a calm moment and waves are starting to build up and bigger waves. And you know, if you just look at what happened this last week at Texas Harvey, I mean, it's there, and It's something that I'm very, very, very sort of obsessed with and bothered with what we're doing now. So this is a close-up. The setup is pretty crazy. There are lots and lots of projectors there, very high resolution. So I'm just showing you different examples. This is sort of the number, the 500 million mark of particles, which I was kind of blown away. This is my studio, just to show the behind the scenes. So I literally printed a 4-meter castle while working and projected the piece of art above my head. Some references for me. So I looked a lot about the flood, sketches and the history of how floods happen around the world. And I kind of try to mimic this etching, black and white kind of scratches in my aesthetic. So this was this project, and then I'm happy Steffi was here because we meet a few times a year, and I wanted to update her. The last thing I want to show, thank you. The last thing I want to show is actually a personal invitation to anybody here. We are, I have the honor today to show Water Dancer. It's another work of mine. It's going to be presented from 8:30 until midnight at the National Theatre Habima Square. So
That's tonight at the Habima Square at 8:30?
right. So it's going to run for the whole evening. So just, this is the simulation. So this is what I'm literally simulating on the water. It's, the dancer is a very, very close friend of mine. She's a world's known contemporary dancer and choreographer. Her name is Sharon Eyal. And I basically captured her dancing to a song of this amazing group, Another MP, which is here. And I then simulated her, but it took 3 years to develop this technology that I've been using to do this kind of art. We have developed, in collaboration with a group in Germany, actually. It's a 3 post-PhDs, geniuses in computer vision. And what you see here, in real time, we just place few cameras, simple GoPro cameras, and we know how to triangulate the performer without any sort of sensors. So you can see the skeleton in real time, no latency, no nothing, which is a big deal because as soon as I have those markers, I can apply my art on it on live. This is just a short example of Sharon, dancing on my roof when we sort of captured her. And because it's a tech business art, conference, I'm showing some of the behind the scene just to connect back to Amit's question. Those are sculptures, 2-meter sculptures, 3D printed. Push the envelope here with another group, Massivit. Massivit is it's an amazing 3D printing company in Israel, and really they literally push the software and abilities to actually be able to produce those 2-meter sculptures in an affordable price. Anyway, this is the last temptation. This was a few weeks ago for Deutsche Telekom private event in Tel Aviv Beach. So if it looks fun, then come. And it's an opportunity to show off my kids here who are dancing. Thank you very much.
It's time that I settle down. And you the one I want to keep around. So in the meantime, in between time, we can get together, have some you and me time. It really don't matter as long as you read it. Ain't begging for no pussy, cause I know that I'm a kid.
There's not much left to say, anyway, there's not much I can do, cause it's over. There's not much much left to say, but I've done it anyway. There's not much I can do, 'cause it's all I know.
Anything is gonna get done. I can give it to you slow until you come and start to run. Baby, I ain't looking for a wife, and we ain't gotta be in love to fuck all night. I broke your heart when I lied to you. Pray to the Most High for you. Heaven sent, baby, I adore you. Scared to let you down.
Thank you, Eyal. Wow. Okay, so we have a few more minutes, so I thought we'd chat a little bit and tie things together. Tim, I'm curious. So when I was growing up, there wasn't a maker movement, but there was a lot of do-it-yourself and a lot of people doing stuff. I read somewhere that just in the U.S. there are over 135 million people who define themselves as part of the maker movement, which is about 50% of all adults in the U.S. Do you guys at Black & Decker, do you see any change in terms of demand for your products that has changed over time given this movement?
Hello. So we're seeing change in demand. A lot of people are moving towards powered tools, which allow you to do more quickly. But whether that's due to the maker movement or not, I'm not sure. We're seeing people using them in their home. The advantage of the maker movement is it really gives people access to more tools than they're likely to be able to go and buy. It gives them access to more hand tools than they typically have, but it gives them a broader array of more expensive products and tools to go and make things that you typically wouldn't be able to make at home. We're seeing large format printers, laser cutters, routing machines that give you the ability to make products on a larger scale than most people have the ability to make in a DIY space at home.
Thank you. Katarina, so one of the things that the maker movement allows is it gives individuals the ability to sometimes make a little money, but sometimes actually make a living out of their passions and out of the things that they know how to do. So in the 21st century, where I think, Eyal was mentioned doing something without an expected ROI, I think deciding to become a classical musician has not a very high probability of having high ROI. How do people in this field, and how do you help them to actually use their talent and to also, make a living and find some economic compensation for their passion?
I would like to make an invitation to everybody here. We're doing actually our first live streaming concert on the 11th of September with two great musicians, an American cellist named Sofia Bacelar and a Russian pianist called Natalia Morozova. So this is the kind of things that we're going to start doing, live concerts for musicians and putting them in contact with event organizers and many other things. So we're giving visibility to musicians and putting them in contact with organizers.
So you're providing organizers with access to talented musicians, presumably all classical?
Yes, mostly classical to start with. Exactly.
Very nice. Eyal,
We can see it on stage on DLD 2018, right?
2018.
Yeah.
Well, if you use the Classic platform, then yes.
Yes.
Eyal,
Maybe in Munich, it's before, yeah? And then in Israel, in Tel Aviv.
we've seen the stuff that you do, and you've been doing art for a long time. Do you feel any
7
impact?
years, it's not too long.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, please, go on.
Do you see any changes in the tools that exist now that allow you to do stuff that you weren't able to do before, other than computational CPU abilities?
Yeah, absolutely. Both, I'll start actually with the channels relating to ROI thing. I think there are alternative ways today more and more to artists to actually promote and build direct relationship with fans, I mean, especially musicians. But on the creation side, I needed at the time to build my own code. I mean, really,
build algorithms and liquid simulation, etc. Today, I'm literally able to write scripts with my team on top of existing platforms, number one. Number two, the whole fabrication, whether it's 3D printing or CNC, an output of your 3D model wasn't really commercially viable 10 years ago. I mean, it was, but it wasn't really that good. And this is sort of a field that is really exploding and growing, which artists can have access to. And the last one I would say is this whole ability to mix together mediums and senses and create new form of arts that until now we weren't able to do. As an example, I'm obsessed for the last 3 years to actually create visual art. I'm actually saying that the future of music is visual, because I'm at a point now where my CPU and my GPU, whether it's on my phone or my laptop or whatever, they can process without any latency, the music I play and actually render and display in real time my aesthetic without any latency, something that was impossible. So my next big project is really inviting people to a live show where they literally are going to see the music in either projection or holograms, and the dancers on stage and performers, they will look what I want them to look. And it's going to be a whole new form of a 2-hour mindfuck, which we haven't seen yet, and that's because of the time we're alive. Now, last thing I would say is the meaning. I mean, great tools, technologies doesn't make great art. So there are still great painters and great, cello musicians, and it's going to be continuing. Just a note for me and other artists, I mean, don't get overexcited with new tools and technologies, just keep on doing great meaning and great art. That's the most important thing. Sorry.
Yeah, I think the technology are... Yeah, go ahead. That technology is just kind of new brushes in the hand of today's painter. It's just new means of expressing and being creative. Tim, so you mentioned that you're head of innovation at Stanley Black & Decker, and you're here in Tel Aviv, which some people say has some innovation. And, as opposed to a lot of other people who are out here who are saying that they're looking for new ideas, new creative technologies, etc. You guys have actually purchased a company in Israel a while back, right? So what is it that you're looking for, in case there's someone in the audience who think that they should catch you right as you're leaving in terms of showing you what they're doing? What is the stuff that you were looking for when you were in Israel, technology-wise?
So this trip, we're really looking for breakthrough innovation, new companies, new ideas. I was a little late getting here for the pre-discussion because I was out talking to a metal 3D printing company that appears to have some of the best 3D printing technology in the metal environment that I've seen anywhere in the world. They're XJet. So that they are developing, and they shipped their first production machine 2 weeks ago, and they suspend nanoparticles inside a liquid, and then they inkjet print it, which is completely different to the approach that anybody else is using anywhere in the world with metal 3D printing. And that's what we're here to see. What is it that's unique that is coming out of Israel? And there appear to be an awful lot of things. Then we're really here to understand what the startup environment is creating and what we can take away from that to help leverage it and grow the company in terms of implementing those technologies.
I just want to say that it happens to me over and over and over and over, and I guess for a lot of people in the room, even though I'm Israeli and I have a lot of criticism about my government, etc., I think it's the most amazing, innovative place every time, like literally every time when I look to find a certain tool or technology, there's going to be somebody in India or somebody in America, but always, I'm going to find, if not the best, but one of the best, just, in proximity a few kilometers from where I am. I mean, it's a magical community, really. It's amazing.
Amazing innovation here in Tel Aviv. One of the things that I saw that I think brings together creativity, the maker movement, and some science fiction, I was at an unconference a couple months ago, and I saw kind of a vision of, a lot of time we see what we see in science fiction and Star Trek and Star Wars, we see that coming true. and I saw this little box that people will probably have in their homes, and remotely, someone would sit there next to a computer and design a piece of jewelry, let's say, and via communication, think about sending via email to a girl, let's say, and in her home, in that box, some piece of jewelry will be printed, which was designed by the guy, thousands of miles away, and just materialize in actual, I don't know if it's silver or gold or what other metals can be possible, but this is stuff I saw on Star Trek, the replicator machines where you pressed a button and something just appeared. So this is a reality. We're almost out of time, but is there any specific question that someone in the audience may have to our panelists? Everybody's shocked or in awe? Very good. Oh, there's a question right there.
Katarina, where can we see the concert that Classics will be live streaming?
You can see it on our site, www.classique.com, and you go to the showroom. That's our blog. That's where you can see the concert.
Okay, so
It's the 11th at 7.
Okay, great. So if I'm a pianist, I'm working very hard, and I just want to be on stage because it's very hard to find managers to put me.
Exactly.
And so what can I do? What should be?
So you can register on Classique, and you can come and play in the showroom, and you're welcome.
And that's it.
But first, we have to check you play well.
Okay.
You can come up right
Wait.
now and play my piano.
Okay. I'm still working.
Come on.
No problem.
Yes, come.
No.
All right, with that, thank you very much, and have a great rest of the conference. Thank you.
Thank you, Amit. It was amazing. Thank you.